New York City, the ultimate concrete jungle, always under construction. Whenever an old building is being renovated, Rick Kelly is right there to reclaim a piece of history. For him, these are the bones of old New York that he skillfully shapes into guitars in his workshop at Carmine Street.
The buildings that I get the wood from are all from the 1800s and earlier. And the wood that frames out these buildings is this old white pine that came from old virgin forest timber. And because it's the structure of the building, I call it the bones of the building, the bones of old New York. The first batch of wood I got from my friend Jim Jarmusch. He's a filmmaker, and from his loft they were replacing some of the roof rafters and he offered me the wood. This was I guess around 2004 or 5, I think.
Since then, Kelly has gathered enough wood to make a few hundred guitars. But he always pays attention when he spots scaffoldings around.
Especially if it comes from a historic building. Like I've gotten wood from the Chelsea Hotel and from Chumley's, the oldest speakeasy on Bedford Street. And these old buildings, you know, have such stories, and the wood has a lot to say. You know, God knows what this wood has seen. Chumley's, you know, was J.D. Salinger and Hemingway and Steinbeck used to hang out there, and they'd carve their names in the tables. And so that wood is very historical, and people sometimes will request certain wood from certain buildings.
Want a piece of Jimi Hendrix floor in your guitar? You got it.
If something comes up where it's a historic building, I don't care if I have no room, I'll make room for it.
Otherwise, these old pieces of wood are likely to be discarded, mostly because they're full of nails.
I have to pull all the nails out of here yet, but that's typical of how many nails will be in each board, and a lot of these empty holes where other nails were, so that's why they discard it. They don't want to have to deal with all those holes.
But it doesn't bother Kelly to go through all this process. The perfect wood is worth it.
It was really sort of a gift. It turned my whole career around because the guitars sound so good and the wood is so perfect for the instrument. And it's all the same species of Pinus strobus, these big giant white pine trees that were almost 400 years old before they were cut down. So that I knew this wood would work because it's a perfect wood for solid body electric. You know, you do hear the difference even though it's almost 2 inches thick. And it's not like an acoustic guitar where the plates or a violin where the plates vibrate in unison. On a solid body electric, the whole instrument vibrates, including the neck. And when you use this wood, it makes it vibrate even more, and it just offers a lot to the tone.
His famous clients like Bob Dylan, Lou Reed, and Patti Smith seem to agree.
I always had, you know, an affinity for the music that the New Yorkers like Lou Reed and Patti Smith made, and so I used to listen to a lot of their records. And never in a million years I thought that I'd ever meet them and become friends with them, so it's real rewarding. You know.
The original inspiration for Kelly, however, was much more the woodwork than the music itself.
I started making musical instruments was a way to help pay for my college tuition in the early 70s. I got most of my woodworking skills, I guess I inherited from my grandfather. He was a woodworker and he used to build altars for the church and things like that. When I went off to art school, I was going to major in sculpture and I needed some tools. So I asked him if he would give me some of his woodworking tools. So that was the same tools I use today. Everything today is what they call CAD-CAM, which means it's controlled by a computer. So all the depth, all the profiling, the bits are all controlled by computer programming. And I don't use any of those. Everything I do has to be an actual template that's screwed to the back of the wood, and you follow the template.
And because everything is handmade, each guitar is one of a kind.
I do have the best job in the world. I'm almost 70 years old. I'll be doing this until I can't do it anymore. I love it. It's not even a job. It's fun.